Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing a very special card project. I have had this in my brain for so long and I'm so glad to get it out. I want to show you where I'm going with this card before we actually start creating. This is a see-through shaker card, and what that means is that the window is actually suspended on the top of the card, and this is a tri-fold design so that you can write your message on the inside. This is super sparkly and it features some products from the Werner October 2025 release, and here's a look at the products that I'll be using today. I'll be using this Snowflake border die. This is absolutely beautiful. I love this one long die. Of course, in addition to this single long border die, you also have about 6 individual snowflakes that you can use on a card in different ways. And I'm going to use that to create kind of a lacy effect across my shaker window. Now this coordinates beautifully with the snowflake easy repeat background and also the elegant holiday greetings stamps and dies, which I'll be using on today's card project. Now I'm starting out with some Altenew sheet adhesive. This is a double-sided adhesive that comes in full sheets, and I'm going to trim it down and place it on the back side of this diamond glitter cardstock. This is from the Stamp Market, and it's my absolute favorite glitter cardstock. It is so shiny and so beautiful, and Amy from the Stamp Market actually told me it has flecks of real silver in it. It is so beautiful, it shines like no other. So I'm placing that sheet adhesive on the back. This is going to make anything that I die cut from this cardstock a sticker, and that's going to work to our advantage in this see-through shaker card. I'm positioning that large snowflake border die towards the left side of my cardstock, and when I do my die cutting, because I am die cutting through not only glitter cardstock, but also that adhesive sheet, I'm gonna make sure that I use my metal shim in my die cutting sandwich of my Anna Griffin Empress. I also flipped the cardstock over to make sure I got through all of those layers before I removed the die from the cardstock. Once I'm sure I got through all of those layers, I carefully removed the die from the cardstock, and I'm poking out with my perfect picker tool all of the insides of this die that kind of stuck. But I'm using a plain piece of paper underneath it to kind of catch those pieces and kind of pull them away from the actual die cut. This adhesive is very great adhesive, but it does make the inside parts kind of stick. Once I have the die cut all weeded out, I'm going to carefully pop it out of the die, and I'm placing it on the backer sheet of that sheet adhesive. This is just going to protect the adhesive until I'm ready to use it. I repeated that a second time so that I have 2 snowflake borders, and now I'm going to start doing some cutting. I am going to make an A7 or a 5x7 card today, so I'm trimming my cardstock to 10 inches by 7 inches. I get a lot of questions about my favorite trimmer, and this tonic trimmer from Tim Holtz is one of my favorites. I cut 2 5x7 card bases, and I'm also cutting a 5x7 panel. I'm going to take the 2 card bases, score them at 5 inches, and fold them on that score line. And now I have 2 5x7 card bases ready to go. And I also have that 5x7 card front. Now, while I'm doing all of my cutting, I'm also going to grab the Pinkfresh Studio Acetate. This is a heat-resistant acetate, which isn't important for today's card, but I have absolutely been loving this acetate. It's nice, heavyweight, it has protective film on both sides, and it's heat-resistant. It's like everything you need in an acetate. So now that I have all of my pieces trimmed with my trimmer, I'm going to show you what I have. I have 2 5x7 card bases. I have a 5x7 card front and 2 pieces of acetate, which are just shy of 5x7 inches. Now I'm grabbing the A7 thin frames die from Werner's collection, and I'm positioning it in the center of the 5x7 panel. This is just the single panel, not the card base. But you can see once I have it positioned, I'm actually going to lay it over one of the card bases with the card base open. And I'm going to die cut through both of these layers at once. Now, spoiler alert, it doesn't actually cut through both layers, but I'm going to show you how to get around it. This is making sure that I have a die cut window in the same position on my card front as well as my card base. So you can see it cut through that top layer, which is the card front, but not all the way through the card base. So with this card base open, I'm nestling the die back into the impression that was created the first time I ran this die through. You'll kind of feel the die kind of nestle into those impressed lines. Then you can hold it in place with some repositionable craft tape and run that through your die cut machine again. And that leaves me with a frame for the front or my card front, as well as a card base, and both of them have the window in the same exact spot. I also used that A7 frames die to create a frame from some champagne cardstock. Now I'm going to do some ink blending. I have my second card base here. This is the one that we didn't die cut. And on the back side, or with the fold to my right-hand side, I'm going to do some blending. Now I'm going to make a tri-fold card, and so I need this on what would normally be the back side of this card base for it to show through in my shaker window, and this will all make sense. I did mask off the right side of this card base using some extra stencil material that I have, and I'm using 3 colors from Concord and 9th to do my blending. I started out with Ballet Slipper in the center, then I have Briar Rose towards the bottom and Nectar towards the top. Now this looks a little blotchy right now, but it will all smooth out and be beautiful in the end. I'm removing that from the sticky mat that I'm using to do my blending, and then I did the same blending on the frame that's going to go on the front of my card. Then I can once again remove that from my sticky mat, and I have all of my blending ready to go. You can see I actually just eyeballed the blending on the frame, but it all matched up nicely. So now it's time to attach some acetate. So on the back side of my frame, I'm going to add some strong double-sided tape. This is from Altenew. You can see I'm adding a couple of strands of that to cover the entire frame. I'm also going to add it to the front side of my card base that has that frame die cut. Now this acetate actually comes with protective film on both sides, so you'll want to make sure that you remove that before you attach it to your card base. I've removed the backer from that strong double-sided tape that is on my card base, and I'm positioning the acetate where it kind of lines up with my card base front. Then I'll press it in place using a dry, clean cloth to kind of just avoid getting any additional fingerprints on it. I've removed the protective film from my second piece of acetate here, and I'm just going to position it over the top of this card base so that I can see where I want my snowflakes to land. I have the snowflake borders, which already have the adhesive on the back because we use that sheet adhesive before we die cut them. And I'm just positioning them where they'll cover the entire window. Once I get those positioned on that acetate, remember, this is not adhered down. This is just being held down with the magnets while I place my snowflakes so that I can position them properly. Once I have all of the snowflake borders where I want them, I can pick that piece of acetate up and trim off any excess. Now that I have those snowflakes attached to the acetate, I can flip over my frame, remove the backer on that strong double-sided tape, and place this acetate on that front frame. Again, to avoid any extra fingerprints, I'm just using a clean, dry cloth to make sure that gets pressed into the adhesive. And look at this. I love this shaker window. Now to give it a little more pizzazz, I have that thin frame that will nestle right inside of my window. I added just a little bit of liquid glue to the back of this, and I'm nestling it inside of that opening. Now that I have my card front and my card base ready, I am going to add some foam adhesive around the window of the card base. So I'm just building it up from the bottom up, but I am going to do a double layer of foam adhesive, and I'm going to make sure that this foam adhesive encloses that entire area, that there's no gaps in this foam adhesive that my shaker bits can kind of sneak out of. Now, before I put this down, I wanted to show you the back side of this shaker window. Because we use that sheet adhesive, it's nice and clean looking, and I don't have to worry about the back side or kind of hiding any adhesive because those adhesive sheets keep this really clean. I'm filling up the shaker area with some various shaker bits. I have some sparkling clear confetti, some sparkling clear snowflakes from Pretty Pink Posh, and I have some iridescent confetti as well. Once I've filled up that window, I'm going to remove the backer from all of the foam adhesive, and I'm going to position this card front over the card base where the two windows will line up, and then press it into place. You can see I used my magnet to hold the card base down onto my work surface so that I didn't kind of accidentally fling it when I was removing the backer of the foam adhesive. So now we have our card base with our see-through shaker window, and we could leave it as it is, but you would be able to see the message written on the inside. And I went back and forth of whether I should just put a white card base behind this or if I should do the ink blended version, and I decided to do the ink blended version. So on the back side of this shaker panel or the shaker card, I added some tape runner adhesive, and I'm going to nestle this into the other card base with the ink blending on the what would normally be the back side. So those just nestle together and adhere together to create a trifold 5x7 card with that see-through shaker window. Now I have the Peace on Earth sentiment. This is from the Elegant Holiday Greetings stamp and coordinating die set. I'm going to heat emboss this onto some white cardstock using some platinum embossing powder from Altenew. This matches that champagne foil paper from Concord and 9th beautifully. I've sprinkled on the embossing powder and then heat set that. I die cut it with the coordinating die and then stacked up 2 additional white cardstock layers behind it. I'm going to adhere it directly to my shaker window, so I'm making sure I don't put too much glue onto the back side of this sentiment, and then I adhered it to my shaker window. And on the back side, just to kind of clean up any glue that you may see, I attached an additional cardstock layer to the inside of that shaker window to kind of disguise any of that glue that you may see from the sentiment. Now, I decided to keep the rest of this card pretty simple because there is so much sparkle. I didn't want to take away from it, but look at how cool this see-through shaker card is. Now, you could definitely skip the additional card base kind of trifold design that's in this, but then you would see anything that you write on the inside of the card. And so this trifold design kind of keeps that clean when the card's all folded up. But I absolutely love the way that this card project turned out. It is so beautiful. It has so much sparkle, and it's such a fun surprise that when you open this card, you can see all the way through that shaker window. Now, as always, I'll have links to the featured products used in this project in the description at YouTube. So if you're looking for something in particular, be sure you check there. Or you can head on over to my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Over there, you'll find more still shots, more information, and a complete list of supplies. And I'll make sure that I put that link in the YouTube description as well. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed this card project, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here so you don't miss any of my paper crafting and card making video tutorials. I would love for you to leave me a comment below and let me know what your favorite tip from this video is. Do you see yourself making a see-through shaker card anytime soon? Be sure to let me know in the comments. Once again, thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad you're here. And until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.